So Liv is going to share with us a little bit today about her story, how she came to know the Lord, and how it was not nearly the straight path we'd all like it to be. It was a path full of twists and turns, seeking her identity, seeking to find belonging, seeking to find who she is in all these things of the world apart from God. So Liv, why don't you just take a couple minutes and share a little bit about your story, about where you're born, how you ended up here in Salem, what your family life was like growing up, and what made you you.
I'm Liv. I was born...
She's not an alcoholic.
Not an alcoholic. No. I was born here in Salem, lived in Salem for 6 years, and then moved to Kaiser, and I've lived in Kaiser ever since. So, Salem, Oregon girl. I've never really been out of Salem. I've been in Oregon, and I've been to Seattle, Washington, and I've been to Boise, Idaho. That's it. So there's my cultural experience for you.
Do you really need anything else?
Not really.
It's pretty much everything you need to see in the world is in the Northwest.
Pretty much. No, I grew up in a home that was not Christian-based. My parents let me explore whatever religion I wanted to explore. So I've been Buddhist before, I've been Wiccan, I've been agnostic, atheist, and a Satanist before. All of those weird things.
I know. I think she would make a lousy Satanist myself, so I'm glad.
My mom grew up in a Lutheran church, and she hated it, and my dad grew up in a Seventh-day Adventist church, and he hated it, and they couldn't get married in the church that my dad went to because they were baptized in two different churches, so they stopped going to church. So that's why I grew up not being Christian at all. And my dad was very alcoholic for a very big chunk of my life. I wasn't really there a lot, so I have a really good relationship with my mom, and I'm trying to get a good relationship with my dad, but it's not really working. What else? I'm really cool.
I think so.
Courtney's my best friend. I've known Courtney for 7 years.
So as you were exploring all these other different worldviews, these other different faiths and religious philosophies, what did you find was lacking in each and every one of them? What kept you searching?
I know from the Buddhist and all of that stuff, it didn't really make sense for me at first. Like, there were a lot of rules, and they didn't really believe in a God. They believed in Buddha, who didn't want to identify himself as a god. Mm-hmm. And it was confusing and weird, and so then I moved to the next religion, and the next religion, each one of them lacked a sense of belonging, a sense of love and stuff. And I don't know what you were just mouthing at me, but okay. But they all lacked love and identity and community, I guess. And can't think of what else I was going to say right
now. You're fine.
We're going to move on.
You're fine. So when you heard the gospel for the first time, what was your initial response when you heard about this Jesus guy? And were you receptive? Were you like, yes, that makes perfect sense? Did you have questions? What was your initial reaction?
Well, okay, I've always known about, in elementary school and middle school, I'd always known about God and Jesus, and I've known about it, but I never actually heard the gospel or knew what the gospel was about until sophomore year of high school. And I went to this big conference thing in Seattle. It's the only time I've been to Seattle was for Jesus. And yeah. And so we went there with Salem First Baptist, and that was where I heard about the gospel for the first time, the gospel thingamajigger. And
the thingamajigger, a technical
God,
term.
our sins, paying everyone life. If anyone's heard of that, I don't know, probably not. The gospel. And that was the first or second night that I had heard that up there, and we were there for 3 nights, and I was like, well, this makes sense. Mm-hmm. I was mind blown, head on the wall, that sort of thing. I was super excited, and I was like, I could totally live for this. This is totally something I could do. And so from then on, I just lived for Jesus, I guess. That was like 3 years ago.
So,
Yeah, Dare to Share, that's what it's called.
Dare to Share.
There too. No way.
alrighty then. Go Dare to Share.
Yep.
So somebody asked you, and I'll ask you right now, in just a couple sentences, what is the gospel message? And how is it unique?
Okay, I
all their
could
worldviews.
use the thing, but I don't remember what it exactly says. But for me, the gospel, it gives me identity. I don't know. It shows me what I can live for. That actually is the actual reason why I'm here. It's God our sins, paying everyone life. If Caleb or Courtney still has it memorized, they could say it because I don't remember it right now. But we kind of touched base on it. And when I went to church, like camp meeting, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, they actually explained it in a way that made sense to me, where it's actually in the Bible. I didn't know that it was actually in the Bible until 3 weeks ago. Isn't that weird? But I don't know. Gospel is awesome. You're welcome.
Gospel is awesome. Okay, so a follow-up to that. So who is Jesus and what has he done for you?
Jesus is my best friend, and he has completely changed my life in an awesome way. My dad is no longer an alcoholic, and he's no longer abusive, and I no longer have abusive relationships with people.
So you may not, just to say no, it's not just you, it's your family that also that's come to faith.
Like we didn't go to church, and then our neighbor, who's the pastor at our current church, The River in Kaiser, he invited my parents to church. They went to the church, and then my sister went to the church, and then I went to the church, and now we're all loving Jesus. So, yeah, it's a really great church, and it's like a place where all of us can go and be ourselves. And with Jesus, you can be yourself. You can be who you are, and I can do that with people who love Jesus, and I've realized that through this church, which is why I'm insane and have no boundaries here. You're welcome. So,
one thing I really love about Liv is that you can be as you are, but you're also somebody who's willing to be transformed, to be molded.
oh yeah, definitely. Just tell me a thing and I'll go do it.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. I have a car that needs washing. So,
the guy in the blue sweatshirt and punch him right in the glasses.
please do.
No, I'd rather not break glasses. I know they're expensive because Courtney has glasses. So.
All right. So last question. Just share briefly about what your experience with CA is like. How you initially perceived what God was doing here, and what your initial thoughts were, and how this brief time as part of this community has helped to shape your walk with the Lord.
If I wasn't part of a Christian group during college, I would have continued in the direction that I was going with my previous boyfriend, which was terrible. So it was like alcohol, drugs, bad things, terrible bad things. So if I wasn't part of a Christian group on campus, I would be part of a terrible group on campus, I guess. So I don't know. You guys love me. It's great.
We do love you. I think we all love her. Anybody here who doesn't love Liv? Courtney, you don't count. Tia, you don't count either. All right.
Of course, my roommates hate me.
Well, thank you so much. And I think we can appreciate this sense of searching for identity, searching for belonging, and searching for meaning, because we've all been there at one point or another. Whether we grew up in a Christian home or not, the idea of searching is something that we all face. And I'm so glad that you found that identity and you realize.
I finally found where I need to be, and that's here.
Well, we're glad to have you here. So thank you so much. Everybody say thank you, Liv.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And please mob her afterwards with additional questions that she didn't answer here.
Yeah, absolutely. I like answering questions, so if you have questions, come ask.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much, Liv.
You're welcome. Oh, standing above.
Of course. Alrighty.